days the government runs out of money, is there going to be a shutdown?
No. The Senate is expected to pass a continuing resolution next week. The House will take up the Senate bill. And so we got groups here in town, members of the House and the Senate here in town, who whip people into a frenzy believing they can accomplish things that they know are never going to happen.
All right, there you go. John Boehner, been there, done that. Larry Kudlow, though, is with us, CNBC senior contributor and host of the Larry Kudlow Show on Cumulus Radio. Hello, Larry.
Hey, Steve. Thank you.
All right, first I want to start with the Trump plan, which was unveiled yesterday. The tax plan, of course, that's right up your expertise, your alley of expertise, and you've worked on Rand Paul's plan, or at least approved of that. So, what's your take on Trump?
I really like Trump's plan. I think it's a pro-growth, supply-side plan, and one of the things I just love about it is the 15% corporate tax rate. Remember, China is 25, so if you want to beat China, lower the corporate tax rate, and that's just what Donald Trump has done. And by the way, small businesses, the so-called Chapter S pass-throughs, would pay the same low 15% rate. So that's one of the key features. And by the way, cutting the corporate tax is huge for economic growth.
You've been saying that forever.
Forever. And I've really been, it's funny thing is, it's the 15% part too. I never thought I'd see a candidate do it, but it'll give us a gigantic advantage. You know, bring capital and businesses to the U.S., make us the most hospitable place to invest. And I think that's what Donald Trump has done.
Good. All right. Now let's go back to Boehner here. Forget the insults at the conservatives. I don't even want to talk about that anymore. But the government shutdown, you know, it never ceases to amaze me. All you got to do is go back to the last government shutdown, and then you go forward a year from that, which would have been last November, and the Republicans won one of the biggest landslide elections ever. So why are the Republicans always running scared from a government shutdown?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, look. Nobody really loves government shutdowns, including me, all right? I'm not proposing that we have, 5 of them in a row. But I will say this. Sometimes you have to make a statement, okay? You got to make a point. You got to tell people what your beliefs are. And I think one of the problems here with the Republican grassroots and the base is very angry at the Washington leadership in the House and Senate because it hasn't done what it said it would do, namely create a bunch of bills like tax reform and Obamacare and energy and immigration, put them on the president.
Right, let him veto them.
And let him veto it,
yeah.
Okay? And so then we go off to 2016. So people, including myself, are frustrated. And another point, we've had 18 government shutdowns since 1976.
Right.
18. Many of them have been started by Democrats.
Absolutely.
In fact, some of them were inside the Democratic Party's own.
Yes, but that when they had a Democratic president and a Democratic Congress.
Right. So, look, again, I'm not recommending them every day, but sometimes you got to put your best foot forward.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
I want to get to your Senate run in Connecticut, but so should McConnell be the next out the door?
No, I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say is this. The House and Senate leadership should spend less time making deals and accommodating the Democrats and more time crafting a clear message and philosophy of beliefs and communicate that to the rest of the party. That's what I think has to happen.
All right, now, you may wind up in that Senate, at least if I read the New York Post correctly, because the headline by Fred Dicker is CNBC's Larry Kudlow has decided to run for Senate. Now, last time we spoke, you didn't come out and say that. So where are we exactly? Are you running for the Senate seat from Connecticut?
My friend Fred Dicker didn't quite get the story right. I am continuing to explore a run in the Senate from Connecticut, absolutely exploring it. In fact, I would say exploring it intensely. There are a lot of moving pieces, and we're kind of going through that, and we're looking at the machinery, but I have not yet made a final decision.
All right, and you're not this nonsense about New York. You wouldn't run in New York, right?
No, I'm looking at Connecticut, and really always have been. I think here's the issue.
We got 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Senator Blumenthal voting for the terrible Iran deal, voting for tax hikes, voting for spending increases, damaging Connecticut as much as the rest of the country, needs to be replaced.
All right. Larry Kudlow, you're just the man to do it. Thank you, my friend. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
All right, Larry Kudlow, folks. Up next, it's something called Gimme 5, and it's coming your way. As you know, Dr. Ben Carson has been sharply criticized for what he had to say about certain Muslims should never be president. He now has released an urgent letter about this, and it's available to the public on Newsmax.com. It's exclusive to us, and it's important you take the time to read it. Go to Newsmax.com. At the top of the page, click on Read Dr. Carson's Urgent Letter. You'll find out why he's taking a stand on this issue and why he will not be bullied. Again, read Dr. Carson's Urgent Letter on Newsmax.com.